This is Alexander the Great, and he is one of the most powerful people to ever live. In just over 10 years, this guy did something completely insane. By the time he was 30, he had built one of the biggest empires in history, stretching all the way from Greece to India. It's crazy. He never lost a single battle and inspired legends like Caesar and Napoleon. This guy was the OG. But conquering land wasn't even his craziest idea. His real victory wasn't about land. It was about creating an empire of ideas. Could one guy's ambition completely change the world forever? Alexander the Great didn't just want to take over empires. He wanted to build a whole new world based on his own vision. We're going to break down how his craziest experiment wasn't about fighting, but about mixing cultures in a way that literally changed everything. Okay, to get how insane Alexander's plan was, you have to see the world he started with. Back in the 4th century BC, the world was totally divided. You had the Greek city-states, who thought the giant Persian Empire to the east was this big, scary enemy. And to the Persians, the Greeks were just an annoyance. Basically, everyone thought everyone else was a barbarian, and trade was a mess because no one had the same rules. And then this kingdom, Macedon, shows up. The Greeks to the south thought they were uncultured, but their king, Philip II, was a genius and made Macedon super powerful. Philip united all the Greek states, sometimes by fighting, sometimes by talking, into one massive league. His big plan was to finally take on Persia. But then he was assassinated in 336 BC, and the whole mission was left to his 20-year-old son, Alexander. Can you even imagine? So in 334 BC, Alexander marches into Asia. This is where it gets crazy. Officially, he was there to free Greek cities and get revenge on Persia. But what happened next was a series of wins so insane, people practically thought he was supernatural. At Granicus, Issus, and Gaugamela, his smaller, better army completely destroyed the massive forces of the Persian king, Darius III. But this was never just about winning battles. There's this crazy story where he gets to the city of Gordium and sees a chariot tied with a super complicated knot. A prophecy said whoever untied it would rule all of Asia. After trying for a second, Alexander just pulls out his sword and slices it in half. That was Alexander's whole vibe. Just find a crazy, simple solution to a huge problem. He wasn't just invading with soldiers. He was invading with ideas. Everywhere he went, he started spreading Greek culture, their language, their philosophy, their art. This was called Hellenization, and it was a cultural takeover on a scale nobody had ever tried before. After one last epic battle, the entire Persian Empire was his. He was the new king of Asia. But taking over land is one thing. Ruling it is the hard part. The Persian Empire was full of different people with different languages and religions. He knew if he just tried to force everyone to be Greek, they'd rebel 24/7. So he did something that blew his own generals' minds. He started acting Persian. He wore their clothes, used their core traditions, and then for the craziest part, he held a massive wedding in the city of Susa, where he and his top generals married Persian noblewomen. He literally mashed the two cultures together to create a brand new ruling class. He also put thousands of Persian soldiers into his own army, training them in his style because he always needed more troops. He wasn't giving up his own culture. He was creating a new megaculture. He left local governments alone and even kept Persian governors in charge. By doing this, he didn't look like an invader. He looked like the rightful new king. It was a genius move that kept his insane amount of land stable. But Alexander's biggest flex wasn't some palace. It was the cities he built. He founded dozens of them across his new empire and named most of them Alexandria. He really liked his own name. These cities were basically giant labs for his cultural experiment, where his veteran soldiers would live side by side with the locals. The most famous one, Alexandria in Egypt, was built to be a powerhouse. It was perfectly placed for trade and quickly became a crossroad between East and West. But it was more than that. It became the intellectual capital of the entire ancient world. It was later home to the legendary Great Library, which was like the internet of the ancient world, drawing in the smartest people from everywhere. These new cities were electric. Greek became the common language for business and government all the way from the Mediterranean to India. For the first time ever, a guy from Egypt, a philosopher from Greece, and an astronomer from Babylon could all talk to each other in the same language. This is how you change the world forever. Not with a sword, but by connecting everyone. But Alexander just wouldn't stop. He pushed his totally exhausted army even further east into what is now Afghanistan, Pakistan, and finally, India. There, he won an insane battle against an Indian king named Porus, but was so impressed by how bravely Porus fought that he just gave him his kingdom back to rule for him. But in India, he finally hit his limit. His own army, after marching for 10 years straight and crossing thousands of miles, finally said, "Bro, we're done." They literally refused to take another step. A bummed-out Alexander had to turn back. On the return trip, in the city of Babylon in 323 BC, he got a fever and died. He was only 32 years old. They say that on his deathbed, someone asked who gets his massive empire, and he just said, "To the strongest." What a legend. And just like he might have predicted, his generals immediately started fighting over everything. The empire completely shattered into different kingdoms. The political dream was gone, but the cultural one, it was just getting started. This was the beginning of the Hellenistic Age. All across this giant area, people kept speaking Greek and living a Greek-influenced lifestyle. The seeds he planted grew into a connected world. You got insane new cultures like Greco-Buddhism in Central Asia, where they literally made statues of Buddha that looked like a Greek god. This connected world was Alexander's real legacy. It was so powerful that when Rome became the next big thing, even they were conquered by his ideas, copying Greek art, philosophy, and government, and spreading it even further. Alexander lived a short, wild, and absolutely insane life. His dream of one giant, politically unified empire died when he did. But his other dream, a culturally connected world, succeeded bigger than he could have ever imagined. He didn't just break down walls with his army. He broke them down by giving everyone a common cultural language that let them trade ideas and goods like never before. He didn't just alter empires. He basically started a new level of human history. The Hellenistic civilization he created went on to shape the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and our world today. The biggest conquest Alexander the Great ever made wasn't territory on a map, but the start of a global conversation that we're literally still having today. If you think this story is insane, hit that subscribe button right now so we can keep making more videos like this. And comment below, what was the craziest part of Alexander's plan?